Our real estate market continues to stay in the headlines, and home values have risen more than 10% in the last year alone. You would think it's all good news, but it can actually make things more difficult for some folks. Here to explain how this could possibly be bad news is attorney Mike Wink from Wink & Wink. They specialize in bankruptcy and debt relief. You know, when I started reading the segment, I'm like, what? I think I have this turned around.
Right.
I'm thinking that equity and home values going up are actually going to help me, but for some people in debt, not so.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, the market going up is good for homeowners.
Okay.
You'll have more equity in your home, and that's a good thing. But if you can't pay your monthly bills, it doesn't necessarily help you do that. And if that's your situation where you've got rising equity in your home and you can't afford to pay all your debt,
right.
You've got a complicating factor. Debt relief is a function of your ability to repay. That means it's an analysis of income and assets. Of course, your home equity is an asset. So if you've got more there, you've got more to lose. And so, you know, it's just one of those things that people need to be aware of when they're looking at debt
That's
relief.
why they should call you, because
Absolutely.
you were telling me this before you make any kind of move when it comes to debt, to call you and see which route to take.
Exactly. So in bankruptcy, which is the most common form of debt relief, there's really two kinds of bankruptcy that apply to most consumers. The most common, though, is Chapter 7, and it's by far the most common. It's like 85% of the cases because it tends to be cheaper and faster. But if you're a homeowner in Chapter 7, it is very, very risky these days because there are only limits as to how much equity you can keep in your Chapter 7 bankruptcy. It's $75,000. So if you have a home worth $150 and you owe $100, you should be okay.
Right.
But if that's going up every month and it starts to go over $175,000 in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, the trustee can sell your home. Now they would pay you your $75,000, but they would keep the change.
Right.
And so for many people, that is obviously an unacceptable solution. And the key is to recognize that. So people, there's a lot of clients we have these days where 4 or 5 years ago, they would have been in slam dunk, easy Chapter 7. Now we have to think about other options because the risk of them losing their home is just too great.
Right. So what do you do? Can you file for bankruptcy without losing your home?
Yes, you can. So obviously, if your equity is below the limit, then you should be able to file 7. But if it's close or it's above, then you could file Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which is a 3 to 5 year payment plan where you would pay to say keep the equity in the home. The nice thing about Chapter 13 is that they don't take your property. Period. They do not sell your home. So you will have to pay to keep the equity. Let's say we'll go back to the example. Say you have a house worth $187,000, and you owe $100, and there's a $75,000 equity. There's $12,000 there that's not protected. In Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you would pay that off over 5 years. Say $200 a month for 5 years. That's $12,000. Then you get to keep your home, and you can, depending on how much debt you have, that could still be a great deal. If you got $40,000, $50,000 of debt that you're taking care of for $200 a month. That's something that can make sense, but the point is that it's more complicated, and you just need to be very careful.
Yeah, you've got those two routes, and you certainly don't want to lose your home. So what other options are there for people out there who are struggling with debt other than these two forms of bankruptcy?
So a lot of people have refinanced, and if you're behind on credit cards and that sort of thing, refinancing can be very difficult because your credit may not support the refinance. But we've been able to help some people in conjunction with mortgage brokers who are putting together the refinance while we are working on settling their debt. So we're calling their creditors, offering some lump sum to settle the debt. And of course, that lump sum is going to come from the refinance on their home.
Gotcha.
But the value that we add is rather than paying all of that debt through your refinance, we can typically get you out for 50 cents on the dollar. So if you have $30,000 of credit card debt, instead of having to pay it all, you maybe only need 15, and we'll get the letters from the creditors saying, okay, we'll accept X amount for this debt and this debt and this debt, and then the underwriters in your refinance take that, and then they pay them out of your refinance.
I'd rather go with that scenario,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it can be great. I mean, it really just depends. I mean, you know, that's why I said it gets complicated, but the key takeaway is if you're a homeowner struggling with debt, you know, the simple debt relief is not there for you. You know, you need a professional to help you because the stakes are very high.
So how can people get more information?
Well, they can definitely give us a call.
Yeah.
We offer free consultations. You know, a lot of people walk into our office for a free consultation and they leave happier. Even, you know, whether they sign up or whether they don't, it's just they start to see that there's a way out, that there's a way to
plan.
deal, that there's a way to deal with their situation. And, knowledge is power, and we give you that for free. We spend a half an hour to an hour going through your situation, giving you tailored advice. And there's really, if you're struggling with debt, there's really no reason not to do that.
Well, thanks for coming on today. You have a great wife, too. They work together, husband and wife. Say hi to Gigi.
I will. I will. Thank you.
Call Wink and Wink now for your free consultation and develop a plan. 888-NOW-WINK. That's 888-669-9465. Or you can find them online at winkandwink.com. A lot of the information they shared today is on the website. Coming up on Colorado's Best